China and the U.S. are in a territorial arm wrestle for presence on the South Pacific island nation of Papua New Guinea. The resource-rich jewel in the Pacific Crown is one of the poorest countries in the world, but has vast potential and is positioned near crucial sea routes. Satluj TV has more on how it's garnering a lot of attention during this year's G7 summit. One by one, leaders attending the G7 summit in Japan are making their way to the third largest island country of Papua New Guinea. Secretary of State Antony Blinken touched down in place of President Joe Biden, who flew back to the U.S. amid continuing talks over the nation's looming debt default. Nestled in the southwestern Pacific, the island's territory has passed through multiple hands of control, including Germany, Australia, and Britain. With a large Chinese minority living on the island and its strategic geographical position, Papua New Guinea is in the crosshairs of Chinese development and interest from Washington. The country's prime minister is set to sign a security pact that gives American troops access to the Pacific nation's ports and airports with conditions.
Will not in any way stand to be exclusively used by the military. First thing first, the assets will remain Papua New Guinea government assets. First right of use, Papua New Guinean use, including use for trade and use for public. And in the event they want to use it, they would always be asking our defense to have access to this facility.
The agreement can be renewed every 15 years and will give the U.S. vital movement in the waters surrounding the island in return for access to U.S. military technology.
The shipwright agreement, for instance, allows for us to have a working partnership with U.S. Navy and U.S. Coast Guard. With the U.S. Coast Guard, it now gives us an opportune time to have access, not just on maritime access, but satellite access to illegal fishing, drug traffickers, illegal loggers, and all those illegal transportations and activities that happens on high sea.
President Joe Biden has placed more importance on the Pacific over concerns about an increasingly assertive China, which is trying to woo nations with an array of diplomatic and financial incentives in return for strategic support. In fact, China has made its biggest investment on the island of more than $400 million for a new cinema, hotel, apartments, and restaurants. China is now the country's second largest trading partner behind former colonial ruler Australia. Its focus has been primarily on construction, energy, resources, retail, and telecoms. Washington has been courting Pacific nations more intensely after the Solomon Islands signed a security pact with Beijing last year. Despite China's investment in Papua New Guinea, locals fear they're being pushed out by an imported labor force and lack of local reinvestment in the economy. Meanwhile, U.S. officials say Washington is supplying an additional $12 million in personal protective equipment to the PNG Defense Force, including ballistic helmets, flak jackets, and other personal protection to its border patrol and security operations. Reporting for Satluj TV, I'm Layla Gulen.
Do you ever wonder what's behind the news? What is it that you are not being told? Going behind the news and finding the truth. Let the truth flow. Satluj Network. Let the truth flow.